am super excited about this episode of the S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered, because I am with a good friend of mine and an amazing human being, Karen Seltz. So welcome, Karen, to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much, Heidi. I am ready to have some fun and get into whatever you choose.
I am excited to have some fun too, because I know as soon as you said you were a yes to this, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. We're going to have an amazing episode. So, and a day. So, but before we dive in, Karen, I just want to introduce everybody to you so they know a little bit about you, and then they're going to get to learn more about who you are as we move forward. So Karen is a confidence and visibility coach who supports coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs to connect their hearts and speak with authenticity and authority on video so they can create the impact and income they desire. Karen combines her knowledge, wisdom, and experience as an entrepreneur, hosting a weekly live TV show, spirituality, neuroscience, and meditation with her contagious humor to create a safe, fun environment where people can feel safe, sharing their gifts with the world in a way that magnetizes the perfect clients to them. Karen, I want to really first find out about your TV show. I think it's amazing that you're doing that. Can you share what that TV show is?
Absolutely. I've had it for a little over a year. I think I've done 55 episodes so far. It's
Wow.
called Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. And it's for women that have this calling inside that keeps getting louder and louder. And if they're anything like me, they have run from it, or they get caught up in, I don't know what to do. I know I have a calling, but why me? And am I good enough? And I don't know how to start. So all of those things. And I talk about different spirituality things that really get people to remember the truth of who they are, because we're all magnificent. We all have so much to contribute that only we can contribute. Nobody else has our unique set of experiences, gifts, talents, abilities. And I'm able to mirror that back to people in a way that they can see it for themselves. And then I also talk a lot about mindset, about neuroscience, psychology, and how we can apply these things to move us forward toward our calling.
I love that you share with people about how they can stand out, like what their special gifts are. And you're very good at seeing that in people, because when you're an entrepreneur and like whether you're getting started or you're moving to the next level, those fears start coming up of like, oh my gosh, there's so many other people doing things that are similar to me, right? And how am I going to stand out from the crowd, and comparisonitis, right? You've talked about that, because Karen and I have been friends for a few years now. We've done leadership programs together. We've coached in a leadership program together. So I want to just give you a little background. This is not our first rodeo together. So this is going to be a real conversation about, like, we know each other very well. So that's why I was really super excited about her jumping into this and being a yes for supporting me. For one, she's a woman who is supporting other women in their quest to get their message out. And then she also coaches entrepreneurs in also getting their message out and being visible, which is what this podcast is about: being seen, being heard, and empowering yourself to do so. So Karen, do you mind sharing your story on what's been like the biggest challenge you've faced on your journey? Because you've been an entrepreneur for a while now. What's been your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome that?
Part of it was not buying my own BS. But what I mean by that is the ego. I talk a lot about the ego mind, and I don't mean the psychological ego. I mean the spiritual ego, the one that wants you to feel separate, the one that wants you to feel better than or less than. That's the comparison thing. The ego also masquerades fear as logic. So, so let me give you an example. In my head, I'd be like, well, this isn't quite ready to be put out there. So if I was doing a video or I was writing an email, like, it's not quite ready. And that made sense to my logical mind. Like, it needs to be a little bit better before I put it out there.
Mm.
But really, it was fear. It was fear that it's not good enough, that I was going to be judged or rejected. And I believed it. I believed that voice. And so I would fall into the procrastination thing. And it was because I was afraid of putting anything out there that was imperfect, where somebody could possibly judge me or reject me or say bad things about me. And then the other thing was I kept hearing these voices. And in my case, it was my mom's voice. Like, who do you think you are? You think you're better than everybody else, that you can teach other people this? Who, what makes you so special? So we all have our own version of, the mean girl voice or the mean boy voice, whatever it is. But it was really starting to challenge those voices and say, is that really true? Because the ego never questions itself. It just takes everything as fact. So the other part of that was getting super clear on my why. And
Mm,
I struggled when I started out as an entrepreneur. You knew me. I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was hiding. I did not want to be seen. I wore a mask constantly. And my mask was funny, which I am funny,
you are
but I'm
funny.
also heart centered. I'm also compassionate and loving. And back then I was so afraid of that side. I thought it was, people would think I was weak if I showed that. And I was afraid of it. So it was really lots of things, but coming to accept every single part of myself. Accept that I'm tender, accept that I'm loving, accept that I'm funny. And it's okay to be funny and spiritual. That was another con that I believed for a long time. Like, well, if I'm in the spiritual community, I can't be funny anymore and I can't swear. Well, I don't know if I can swear on here, but F
You
that.
can swear on here. I've said shit. It's a real talk, real raw talk. That's what this is all about. So
Yeah.
all
So,
good.
really coming to accept all the parts of myself as equal. There aren't parts that are better than other parts.
Mm,
It's, I've used this analogy before, but growing up, we come to think certain parts of us are not acceptable or are unlovable, certain characteristics. So in my case, one was selfish. So when my mom talked about people that were selfish, it was not nicely. It was with disdain and like, oh, there's something wrong with that person. They're not lovable. They're not acceptable. So if she called me selfish, it was like stabbing me with a knife in the heart. I'm like, oh, my mom doesn't love me. I'm going to die. I'm going to
mm,
die. And it was really tied to my survival. So anything that I thought with my little limited young mind was unlovable, I wouldn't do that or be that. So it's like looking down at your chest and saying, okay, selfishness, and ripping out that hunk and tossing it aside. And we do that enough times throughout our lives that we look down and we're full of gaping holes. What do we do with those? We
mm,
start looking outside ourselves like, okay, if this person approves of me, I can fill that hole. But it doesn't work. It works for a few minutes. And we're always on the hook. We're always looking for more things out here to fill those holes. So it's not until we can take all those fractured pieces of ourselves, just
mm.
come on in, selfishness. I got you. I got you. Come here, little bitch. Come on. I got you. I love you no matter what. And we fill all those holes that we can then have like a foundation and a clear sense of who we are, that none of us, not a single part of us, is unlovable. So I call that like coming home to yourself.
Oh, I love that. Coming home to yourself. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is really giving yourself, because we hear about other people, giving us unconditional love. But in order for us to have unconditional love from others, what I'm hearing from you is it's really important that we're giving ourselves unconditional love first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I used to actually study or be in this support group. It was called Real Love, and it was based on a book. And the premise was none of us really got unconditional love growing up. And his definition is giving to another person without any expectation of getting anything back. So basically, you don't need anything back. And I got really good at it, just holding space for people, loving them exactly as they were, except in my family with my children, because I always wanted something. I want them to behave or to not disturb me or something. And in romantic relationships,
Mm.
those, I'm like, yeah, of course I want something back. So there's always room to grow everywhere. But think about that, being able to hold space for someone, to not need them to be any different, to see them, hear them, love them, and accept them exactly as they are without needing anything back, without needing them to respond, without needing them to say, oh, thank you so much, you saved me, without needing any type of reciprocation. It's a beautiful gift.
Yeah, absolutely. So how you help people with becoming visible online, right? Sharing their gifts and being able to move through that fear, because you've moved that through that fear as well. So for our audience who's sitting there going, I don't know how, if I could get out there, if I can do that, what would be like some simple tips or tools that you can share to say, hey, like this is how you can do it and feel really good about it
Yeah,
through
that's
that
a
fear
really
of
good
being seen.
question, because when you see people like Heidi who are extremely comfortable on video, or even me, right? I'm on video all the time. You think, oh, they must have always been that way, which is complete crap. We did our first, in fact, Heidi, you just did a Facebook Live on that, like your first Facebook Lives. Like, we were mortified and we did it anyway because we were challenged to do so. And we were in a supportive container. We
Mm.
were in a group where people were saying, you got this, you got this. Oh, that was good. Good job. You did it. So the first thing is, I mean, I do some really, really simple practices. No matter what your spiritual beliefs are, you can talk to God, the divine source, your higher self.
Mm.
But I simply get quiet. I take some slow, deep breaths. I close my eyes and I say, get me out of the way and speak through me.
Mm.
That's it. And I'm talking about the ego. Get me out of the way and speak through me.
Yeah.
And it's the ego that wants to keep us safe that is the cause of all nerves. And when we think people are looking at us or judging us, we get nervous, which you've probably heard this. You're making it all about yourself. If you're
Mm.
nervous, you're making it about you. When you think about like what wants to be expressed through me is another question I ask myself. And that is, I don't know, it's really beautiful because I think about who really needs to hear this today. And if I can think about that one person, and for me, sometimes it's easier to think about me 5 years ago than some random person. Or I can think about a client that I helped that, when she first came to me, what were her fears? What did she really need to hear? And then if you can talk to that one person, like you're telling them a secret that's really going to help them, like you're sitting across the kitchen table and you're just talking one on one with this person. What would you say to that person from your heart that would serve them? And when you can get into that state of service, it's not about you and it's easy. So I would say practice, practice, practice that. Practice getting into that state and just try it. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to find out we're going to talk about how to connect with Karen for sure. So you can share with her like what you did in order to step out of your comfort zone and be seen. But I love how you talk, you shared about like serving. It's all about serving because when we're focused on other people, it's hard to be in our own shit, right? It's hard to like get worried about what we look like or how we're showing up. Okay, can we just have some fun right now? Because if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, you can check us out on S.H.E podcast on YouTube. But I'm going to share, I'm in a white sweater right now with the whole like background going and makeup, but I got the professional on the top and the PJs on the bottom, right? So this is how we're showing up. Like it gets to be fun. And then look at Karen, she's got her socks on. Yeah, she's rocking the socks. So this is how like you get to like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be dressed, all the, you can come with your hair up, which my next episode will probably be with my hair up because it's a solo. I wanted to show up for Karen, like, professional, be present for her in like a professional manner. But when it's just me, it's probably going to be my hair up, doing the thing. So you get to be you. And that's the biggest thing about, showing up on camera. That took Karen and I a while. I know, because she and I have been on this journey for a while. It took a while for me. I'll talk for me personally, Karen, to get vulnerable, to be vulnerable on camera, to be able to like, what, I'm in my shit. I'm going to cry today. And if you don't like it, it's okay. And be open and authentic to attract the people that are going to be attracted to you. And it's good to repel the people that aren't going to be, right?
Yeah, it's so true.
And I know for me, it took me a long time to get there. And now, like you said, it's like we show up and people are like, oh, it's so easy for you. It was not easy. And there's still times where like today we talked for 10 minutes, we were talking. And before I hit the record button, we didn't just go on a dime. We chatted, we were having some fun. We got into the mode. And that's what you get to do. And Karen, one thing I've told people is, and I'm sure you can resonate. I'm like, open up a small group by yourself and just practice, because hearing your own voice, it's shocking the first time. You're like, did that happen to you? Or does that happen to your clients where they hear their voice or they see themselves on camera for the first time and they're like, oh my God, can you talk?
Yeah, it happens to a lot of people. For
Yeah.
some reason, I'm so used to the way I look and the way I sound that I don't know, it doesn't really faze me. I just have fun I don't know, I just have fun all the
You are
time.
so fun. You are so fun.
It's one of my core values is fun. And if something's not fun, there gets to be something that it feels really good to have done it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like there gets to be some kind of carrot at the end. Like I'm going to feel so freaking proud of myself that when I finish this on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. And I love that too. So it's like, that's what we talked about before we went live. We're like, or before we hit record for this, we're like, we're going to have fun. Like, we can't wait to have fun with each other. And that's what you get to do when you're doing your own private, like whatever it is that you're doing and you're going live and you're being seen, even in your life, whether you're online or not, like even in your life, have fun. Whatever it is, and get comfortable with laughing at yourself. That took me a little bit to learn. So now I'm like, because I have believe me, Karen, I have some photos coming out for promoting the podcast, and my hair is just wild and crazy. And it's like, but I'm like laughing at myself. I go, you know what? This is me, and this is how we get to show up. And you've had reels where I love Karen's reels because she's real and authentic, and she also shares the flows, right? You share the outtakes.
Well, who doesn't love outtakes? I know, I love it. And I believe last week, I shot a reel right after a 90-minute hot yoga class.
Oh, yeah, I
Now,
saw that one too. It's great.
some women don't sweat. I am not among them. My hair is completely soaked. But the only good thing is my face is pink because it's so hot. So it doesn't look that bad. Like I have no makeup, except my eyebrows are very light. But so what? People want real. Like we can see through the bullshit. We can. We can see people that are acting. We might not know exactly what's going on, but our subconscious mind is like, I don't really trust that person. There's something off. Well, trust that because your subconscious mind is going to filter through and tell you what you really need to know, like whether you get to trust somebody or not. So trust yourself.
So you help entrepreneurs get visible. So what would be the first steps like to making that happen, especially for somebody maybe that this is new to them? What would you suggest would be something that they could do to take a step forward, to build that confidence? Because confidence comes from actually doing the things that we're scared of, right? And then accomplishing that, whatever it looks like. But every time we do something out of our comfort zone, we gain a little more confidence. So what would you suggest what would be an easy thing for them to do first?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, confidence is an interesting thing. And some people say, would you rather have courage or confidence? And all day long, courage.
Mm.
Courage. Because courage is when you're scared, you do the thing that you committed to doing.
Mm,
Confidence is like, oh, I've done this so many times, I got it. Well, what happens when you're faced with a new situation? You ain't got it. Like, you need courage. And then you do the thing over and over and you build confidence in that area. So, some of the first things you can do is figure out what you love talking about. What are your gifts? And if you don't know, just ask people, what do you think I'm really good at? Ask the people that are closest to you. Or pay attention. What do people ask you advice on? What do people come to you for? What do you want to be known for? Why is it important to you? You can look back at your own journey over the last 3 to 5 years and find the gold nuggets. Like, what did you learn because of the situations you were in?
mm,
How did you come through them? And that can become your program, exactly how you did it. You're not stealing anybody else's stuff. If you're trying to puppet somebody else's stuff, it's not going to be authentic. It's not going to feel good. Your subconscious mind knows it, and people are going to pick that up in your voice. It will come through as inauthentic. So, whatever it is, speak from your heart. I would say, drop in and ask those questions like, what wants to be expressed through me right now? So I would say just start. Start.
mm,
We all want momentum because momentum builds on momentum, but the only way to get momentum is to start. What I do in my group is or in my program, I do a 12-week video authority academy. And within that, we have a private Facebook group. And the people start practicing going live inside the group. And they're like, okay, I got this. I know how to do the technology. I'm
mm.
getting comfortable. I'm maybe looking at the camera, maybe not. Maybe I'm looking over here. I had one woman who was older. Every video, she's like looking over there. And I'm like, she was so cute.
That's one of the hardest things to do, though. It took me a while. I think I had to ask you on, and I've been doing this for years. I'm like, where am I supposed to look? Because if you look at the person, you're looking off. So
Yeah.
it can be a little, frustrating.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of technical things, but that
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Just
Right.
speak
Just
from the heart and practice. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. And
mm,
I know Heidi did this challenge where she went live for a certain amount of time every day. And I did the same thing. So I committed to every weekday for a month the first time I did this. And I actually started to like it. I'm like, okay, I'd be getting ready. I wouldn't plan too much. I'd be like, what do I want to talk about today? What wants to come through me? And what are 3 points I can make? Because one of the things about me, I never want to waste anybody's time. I don't want it to be about me if it's not going to serve you. I'm
right.
happy to talk about my experience, my mistakes, what I learned, if it's going to serve you. But if it's just like, you know, mental masturbation, like why bother? I don't like to waste people's time. So when you're doing it, have a point, have a point. Like know kind of what you want to talk about, like that you want to make some kind of point. And you can even start by stating your intention. My intention with this video is to inspire you to take some action. It could be whatever. And I talk about my program, the different types of videos there are. And I'm not going to go into that today, but inspiration is one of them, and it's a big one. Trying to inspire people to be different, to take some action, to get out of their comfort zones, to think differently,
Mm,
because we are a set of unconscious programs, whether we want to believe it or not. We think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are the exact same thoughts we thought yesterday. And the only way to change that is to interrupt the unconscious thoughts, to bring them up to your awareness and start noticing them. So we do a lot of mindset in my program, and it's important. It's important to start bringing, like I said, those fractured pieces back, and then to
yeah.
have a target. What's your intention? What do you want your business to look like? Who do you want to serve, and why? Why do you want to serve them? Why is it important to you? Tell them. Tell them that.
Yeah, that's so good, Karen. Your why that makes you cry is really super important because you guys will hear this, and Karen, you've probably heard me say it over and over and over again. It's entrepreneurship is not rainbows, cupcakes, and unicorns. It's just not every day. We do have those days. Like can be fun, and it is fun. You can make it fun every day. It's how you make it is what it is. However, there's days where it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. So you get to create a community, which Karen has created, in order to support you on keeping moving forward and getting connected to the why that makes you cry. That's going to keep you driving forward. It could be like, it's not making money. Making money, I've learned, is not a why, because making money is great, but you need to go deeper than that. What can you do with that money? What does that money create? Because many people are like, I want to make a lot of money. Fantastic. Right, Karen? You've heard this too.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it. Love it. Want to do that for you, help you, support you in all the ways. And so does Karen. However, what is deeper than that? What does the money create for you and your family? Do you have children? Do you have a partner? Do you want to retire them? Like, what does that look like? Do you want to travel so you can pull your laptop off on the beach? What's your vision, right? And get connected to that. So I'm super glad that you brought that up. And Karen has a community where she supports you in a safe space. You get to go live. You get to learn the tech. You get to mess it up. You get to look in the wrong direction. You get to go live without turning the camera on. Like, you get to do all the things, right? Or you get to be live with muted. Like, there's so much that can happen, but you learn and you have fun and you grow. So I love that you're supporting people in this way, because this was and this is, Karen, why I'm like so excited for how you're supporting entrepreneurs and to bring you out like to the audience, because this was a huge struggle for me. Like, I bawled, and when I share this, but I don't even know if I can share how much the pain that I went through on this thing. Like, my heart was beating, I was sweating, I was bawling, I got a migraine from the emotions. And I promise all of you, with Karen, you'll never be as bad as I was. Be as bad as I was. So that's why I'm so excited to get share you with everyone, because it's a story that I share because it was painful.
I love that you say that, Heidi,
What?
because I love that you say that, because think about all those moments that are so hard when you first start out. That gets to be your before story.
Yeah. Yeah. And Karen's going to teach you how to share that on in be visible and share your story, because being visible, a lot of it that I struggled with too, Karen, and I know you probably did too, is sharing your story, getting vulnerable. And she helps you with that. And that's something that is truly, truly special and a gift. And I'm so excited that you do this for people, because I didn't have this back then. We were told to get vulnerable. We were told to share our story. And I was like, wait a minute, how much is too much? Like, when we're going through a lot of transitions in the moment. So I'm so happy that you are a huge support system and a resource. And Karen is like, she's fun along the way. She's such a jokester. Can you share some fun facts? Because you are just, I love, she's so funny. So you couldn't find a better person to navigate you through this, journey, because being seen is scary. I'm not going to lie. It's a fear that many women have, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your health space. If you're going through something, we learn that like doctors know what they're talking about, but when they tell us maybe they don't know what's wrong with us, there's nothing wrong with us. Like, you get to be seen, you get to be heard. And Karen is showing entrepreneurs how to do this in the entrepreneurial space. And when we're stepping out our comfort zone and doing something new, you get to have somebody that's funny, that's been there, she's done it, and she can teach you how to take your journey and your story and create it into something that resonates with others, that to allow people to connect with you. So you're not alone, which I love.
Yeah. So one of the things I would say is one of my superpowers is showing people how to lighten up.
Yes.
And when I was, I don't know, stuck, I found this card, a note card in my jewelry drawer that I didn't use. It said, I am an inspirational public speaker, inspiring people all over the world, da da da, whatever. And up until that point, I had done zero public speaking, and that card had been in my drawer for probably 20 years.
Mm.
And that was kind of tipping point, like, okay, I got to do something. So one of the first things I did was take a stand-up comedy class at the community college because it said if you want to be a public speaker, this is good for you to learn how to speak. I'm like, oh, okay, I could do that. I'm funny. Yeah, I learned a lot in that class. And through my comedy instructor, I actually did live radio comedy. I had a live comedy radio show. I actually paid for airtime on an AM station.
Amazing. So
It
amazing.
was super fun. And then with my partner, I met this woman in the class. We used to do these skits on the radio, like 1 to 2 minute sketches, and we actually put them into a full-length comedy movie. So that there's a fun fact about me. I was the partial writer. I wrote very little. My partner did most of it. I was the producer and the main actress in a movie. Feature.
Amazing. So good. So good. I love it. I wish we could have some, maybe we can find some old clips of that.
No, I don't know.
Well, if you definitely have to check out Karen's reels because she's taken what she's learned and she's definitely incorporating into her business now, and she can share with you on how to do that as well. So Karen is such a fun ball of like energy. She's a firecracker. She's an amazing human and woman, and I'm so grateful that you're in my life, Karen. How can we find you online so the people that are listening are ready to, like, they want to learn and see more of you? So how can they find you?
I am easily found. My website is karenseltz.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I don't think there are a lot of Karen Seltz people. There's another one, but she's not that visible. So I'm really easy to find. And I do have a free 3-part live event coming up, a workshop. It's starting in April, and it is how to be confident on video. So check that out if you've been wondering, if you want a little taste of me. You can
Yes.
do that for free. You can
Amazing.
register for that on my website.
Beautiful. So definitely go to karenseltz.com, register for the events, get to know Karen, slip into her DMs and connect with her because you're going to be so grateful to get to know her because she is a fireball and she will support you no matter what. Like no matter what you're going through, she will support you and hold you high and help you get visible, which is what you get to do. You get to be
Yes.
seen. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Heidi. This has been so much fun.
It has been a blast. Thank you, Karen. And make sure you all check out the show notes because you're going to have all the links to connect with Karen. So have an amazing day, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the S.H.E podcast. Thank you, Karen. So grateful for you. Make sure you're being seen, being heard, and empowering yourself to do so. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.